The Aussie NFL Fantasy Show would like to acknowledge the traditional land owners and the leaders past, present and emerging of Ngunnawal, Ngambri and Darawal countries where we are working from today. This always was, and always will be, Aboriginal land.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
If we just put a British accent, someone just narrating how to get your medicines prescribed.
Aussie?
Oh no, I just gave it away. Jeez, it's me. I was the guy that won the Astro League. I forgot about
shit, were you?
but
NFL?
He was just silent, no camera on. I'm just sitting there, I'm like eating my finger bun pre-draft.
Fantasy.
and they were having breakfast together, sitting there having big breakfasts, having a bit of bacon and egg, bit of sausage.
Sharing a
So
bagel. Very good.
we all know what that means. So basically, lock MPJ in for a top one season this year.
Top one.
Tale of the tradesman. No reason to have a trade segment on the podcast.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show.
Yeah, there we go. There we go, mate.
Yeah, that's the stuff.
Oh, that looks even bigger, man.
That didn't do anything for me.
Oh, it did stuff for us, yeah.
It did shit for us. It's good enough.
In today's busy world, it's hard to have it all. Who has time to do all the analysis and decision making for your fantasy team? Probably not you, but we can help. Whether it's positively diagnosing players with fantasy leprosy, or helping you find the players who are on the verge of being fantasy legendary. There's only one name in all of fantasy you can really trust. Make an appointment with Dr GoodCall. All right, welcome back to the... this has got to be one of my favourite parts of the week, is when we get the Dr GoodCall on. Mate, I need some advice from my fantasy team because I'm 1-6, so I'm all ears this week, mate. You got to believe it.
Sorry, mate, just slipped into my doctor's coat, and there we go.
Mate, I made a stamp for you this week too. That's going to appear on everything you do now. I've made this beautiful little stamp logo and made it nice and green, like we try to do with green and gold as much as we can with our show. So yeah, mate, that's going to start appearing on everything. The Dr. GoodCall stamp, defeating fantasy aids everywhere.
Stamp of approval.
Mate, week 8 was a shite week for me. I went 3-9 across 12 leagues. I got myself out to 6 games above 500, and it all just went in an afternoon. Fuck me. But how did week 8 go for Dr. GoodCall?
For me, in terms of my leagues, I couldn't have had a better. Well, actually, I could have had a slightly better week. I went 8-1. I even won a league that I'm tanking in. I'm trying to lose, and I still won, which is absolutely amazing. I lost one league because I needed Joe Burrow to score less than 17, and he was sitting on about 2.4 going into the fourth. And as we said, garbage time stays undefeated. Just absolutely stuffed me. Lost by about a couple of points in the end, but in the end, I still went 8-1 on the week, so it was my best week of the year. Sitting, I think it's 42-30 now for the year, so having a decent year.
We're the tanking team. You're 12 games ahead. That's fucking unreal.
There's not really any league that I'm out of it. Like I'm either going really well or I'm in the playoff hunt on all the other leagues. So I'm pretty happy with how that's going.
That's unreal. Yeah, well, what a good year.
But,
mate, sorry, you were going to say?
I was just going to say I took all of Dr. GoodCall's picks and starts of the week, so we'll obviously talk about that later. So it was, I would call it a moderate week in terms of Dr. GoodCall. Actually, no, I'm going to downgrade that. It was pretty shit.
Oh, really?
There was a couple. Yeah, I don't think it was really good. Like, I'll go through them now. So Goff was a funny one up against Miami. Who I picked him because I just thought that game was going to be a shootout. Goff hadn't been playing well, but I just thought at home his stats at home were just far better than his away stats. And he started like the house on fire. He got the early touchdown. He was getting yards, and then the second half they didn't score. Well, they're on 27 at halftime, and they just didn't score again. It was absolutely unbelievable, and Goff just didn't really add to his total after halftime. So I think he only ended up on about 17 or 18 points in the end. So it wasn't a bad call, especially after Goff had been like the way he'd been playing the last couple of weeks. But in the end, I really thought it was going to be a big hit. But in the end, it was probably just an even Steven one there.
I don't know. So if I've got, so the teams on bye were, so it's Herbert and Mahomes who are away. And if I just I'm not carrying two quarterbacks because I've got Herbert or Mahomes, and I pick up Goff and start him, I'm probably happy with that.
Yeah,
I'm going to give you a tick.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I just think I'm happy if I can get 19 points out of a guy I just found for a week. Okay, sign me up.
You're probably right. Looking at it from just like, in a vacuum and just going off the score, it probably was fine. It was just more how it happened. You were just expecting something better when he saw him start that well.
Yeah,
and it just felt a bit shitty that he just didn't really add to it in the second half. But in the end.
At halftime, you're like, Goff's going to put up a 35.
yeah, it's going to be the Seahawks game again. But yeah, in the end, it was fine.
No, and look, I think when you look at it in terms of, okay, so if I told you the week you're missing Mahomes, you're going to pick up Goff and you're going to just about bag 20. God, who's not going to love that? So I don't know. I think you're just being a bit harsh on yourself, brother. I'm full of the milk of human kindness this week after my weekend starts of the week. So I'm just kind of feeling all the good feels.
Feeling jolly.
Yeah, man. I'm drunk on success.
Absolutely. Well, the next one. So I had Raheem the Dream up next at running back up against the Lions, who I like to target because they're 30th against running back in the year.
Same game multi.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough one for Raheem the Dream. He he didn't really get involved in the passing game, and they sort of got enough done in the air. They didn't feel the need to run too much. I think he was something like 10 for 71 or something like that and on the ground. So it wasn't horrendous. Like, I think in full PPR, he just went over 8 and then, got 7.5 or something like that in the half PPR. But so he didn't kill you. It just was very, very, I would say, disappointing if you had him. I think you just saw that matchup and thought this is a huge opportunity for most of it.
Yeah.
I know I did, trading for him in one league. So, yeah, I just think in terms of this segment, it wasn't like a bad loss or anything like that. But in terms of what you expected out of Raheem in this matchup, I think it felt like a loss.
Yeah, and I guess the guys you're looking to replace here this week are, again, guys like CEH and Eckler, and if you are then shifting stuff around to make this guy your running back 2 or flex for the week, you probably wanted more. But yeah, you're right. It probably hasn't killed you, but yeah, I think when you go, oh, well, yeah, but the guy I'm starting is against the fucking Lions. Man,
exactly.
I can get my 3-year-old to, score a bunch of points against the Lions. I'm sure you're thinking that, right? I'm thinking, Tim, my 9-year-old's really only the size of a 6-year-old, but I could send her up against the Lions. She'd be all right.
Absolutely. Take a dump on that team for sure.
And then Mostert turns back with an 8, and you go, huh? Okay, well, I was kind of hoping for more.
It's not Pride. They're not on Pride Rock, mate. They're on Shite Rock.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right. Like, it's no great result for Mostert, and you all wanting more, so I can understand why you're a bit deflated about that one.
Yeah, that's it. And the next one was tough too. I had Devontae Smith up against the Steelers because they're second last against wide receiver, and it just all went to AJ Brown. Like every single time you saw someone in the end zone.
It shows the call was right.
It's just brutal. I think he only had a 4 for 23. So, it wasn't a great day out. It just all went to AJ Brown. And then the problem is with that game script, they're up by so much at half time that they just did nothing in the second half. It's just how it works. So, it was just a tough situation for Devontae. If just one of those touchdowns that went to AJ Brown go to him, you're looking at a decent day.
Well, chef's kiss, right? But it shows the call was right. It's just that the distribution went the wrong way. And, so you got to mark that as a loss because you pick this guy and you can't really, I guess, say, hey, in my Dr GoodCall, hey, start AJ Brown. Well, everyone's fucking starting him anyway. So just kind of a bit of bad luck, really. But I think it shows that, the analysis is right. You've got him running up against a team. You know that there's opportunity there, and the opportunity is there. It just doesn't go to this guy. It goes to the other guy. Well, fuck, what are you meant to do? I just kind of feel like that's a shite way to lose.
Well, my big win of the week was the shitty gritty, and it's Goose Dickey up against the Lions, who are 28th against tight end. Bagged the TD, and I think he had to put the the shitty gritty away. I think he was told by social media, so he did some other dance. But look, it ended up a pretty decent call. He was very involved in the passing game again. Like I said, got the touchdown, which is what we're always after in the tight end position. So, I was really, really happy with Gesicki in the end. I think he was about 13 or 14 points. So, you definitely take that.
Oh, totally. Look, and for a guy who earlier in the season, like I was all about Kasicki in the preseason at the start in sort of draft season. I don't know. I don't know that he's been that terrific. But in these last couple of weeks, all of a sudden he's just kind of got some eye, and this team is turning really into this great passing juggernaut again. And I don't know, if the ball's in the air, he's one of the three guys downfield who's likeliest to catch it. So, he's always going to be in danger of scoring a touchdown. So love the call. Love that it came off.
Now, this next one, I feel like I'm going to have to go on a rant.
What's the deal with this, by the way? Yeah, come on.
This is now the Dr GoodCall picks. Sorry, I didn't mean to out Dr. GoodCall's name. Whoa, what a faux pas that was.
The magic of editing. We'll make that disappear. Yeah.
Oh, of course. Anonymity.
That's the word. We'll beep that.
This is not fantasy aids. This is Dr. GoodCall picks the running back to have a shit game and fall into the end zone at the end. This is absolutely unbelievable. 3 weeks in a row. And this was the worst by a country mile. Dameon Pierce up against the Titans, who had a whole bunch of stats about all these players who had struggled against the Titans. And I couldn't have nailed it any harder. He was 15 for 35 from a guy who has been an absolute breakout star this year.
Yeah.
He was doing absolutely nothing, even on this drive. So we're looking at about a minute and a half to go. They're on their own 15, I think. They're going absolutely nowhere like they've done the entire game. Somehow, a couple of big plays just break out to some wide receivers. Anyway, they get right on the goal line. There's about, 20 seconds to go. So the game is over. Of course, on the 3 I think it was about 3 yard line technically, gets a dump off, scores the touchdown with 15 seconds to go or something like that. Absolutely brutal. All of a sudden, a shithouse game actually looks okay and doesn't fit the fantasy aids all of a sudden, which was just horrendous. And like I said, if that was the only week that's happened, I'd be fine. But David Montgomery last week did absolutely nothing and then scored. Miles Sanders at least scored his touchdown early, so it felt like I was pretty done early. But even he was 18 for 71 that week.
They had to feed him and feed him and feed him to get the yards. He wasn't good.
All these guys' yards per carry. I'd love to know the stats in terms of the last 3 guys that technically look like a loss to me, what their yards per carry have been. It would be absolutely shit house.
Yeah. Let's start with the 3 on the good ones. Yeah. Look like
so again, it's another one where I'm not a part of me just wants to lose by a mile. A part of me actually wants to see someone just hammer me and just go
32
12 for 120, and just absolutely destroy me. But I keep picking a guy that has a terrible yards per carry, gets nothing down on the ground at all, as per the matchup I bring up, and then just dives over for 1 touchdown and scores 12 points.
You got 6 or 7, instead gets 12 or 13.
It just ruins the whole thing. So let's do it again, shall we?
Okay, I'm strapped in. I'm ready. I'm all hooked up. Let's go.
This is the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Matty C.
James Conner's behind the dowel. Don't look behind the dowel. And I look like I'm wearing my dad's shirt. Totally like McCaffrey. It always looks like he's wearing his dad's gear. Fantastic. I'm glad that you've still got the, that luxury of being allowed to lick rhinos still in the back pocket.
Aussie?
And then T. Higgins. These are just 3 guys, man, Jod. If you left him in a room alone with, he would totally just lick them all.
NFL?
The gap between Connor and Montgomery is closing, by the way. I'm really happy about this.
Fantasy.
Oh, give me a scoop of the Heebies to go with my GBs on that one. Mate, I'm all kinds of happy about that. You're like, oh, fucking predictable Matty. Yep. Always doing the same fucking things. I'm so disappointed. I really wanted to smack that ass, son. I'm going to go with old Goggles McGee.
Well, all right. So we'll go into the Dr. GoodCall picks. And I'm going to go with Justin Fields up against Miami. 26 against quarterback.
Yep.
And you know what, Matty?
No.
Stuff it. I'm taking 2 quarterbacks this week. I'm changing the rules and ruining your end-of-week TikTok graphic. I'm also going Andy Dalton up against the Ravens, who are 25th against quarterback. Let's fucking go. I'm picking 2 quarterbacks this week.
You're going to really press our IT department here about how we get this social media to work.
I'm like, you know what? Matty and Taylor back together again. for one night only.
One night
let's
only.
just do it.
Let's just wreck Matt's brain. Yeah, fucking perfect.
Let's wreck,
mate. Yeah.
Wreck his graphic.
That's when I was absolutely drunk with success from the start of the week. Now all of a sudden I'm sobered by the idea of having to change the graphic.
Again, and like I said, I really like Justin Fields. Arrow's pointing up. He's just playing better and better. They're trusting him more and more. He's running it more and more. And he gets a very good matchup here. And he scored mid-20s up against the Cowboys last week. So I really can't see how he's not going to have a great game against Miami this week. So, yep, I'm very happy with Justin Fields moving forward. And he hasn't actually hit this segment yet. So,
yeah. Virgin to the good calls.
And look, Andy Dalton, I just wanted to put him in. I actually did a bit of a fab dump on him in Sizzle and Quinny's league. It's a 2-quarterback league. And the quarterbacks that are left on waivers are just atrocious. And if I'm saying Andy Dalton's the pick of them all, it probably proves who's left.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah, but he's just playing quite well on this team. And if he just keeps unlocking Kamara, I just think it's free yards for him. Like, he doesn't Andy Dalton doesn't have to do an enormous amount to get fantasy points on this team. So I just think he's been quite consistent over the last few weeks. So up against the Ravens, who are just giving it up to quarterback and wide receivers. So, yeah, I think sky's the limit's probably a bit far for Andy Dalton.
I think so.
He has a mid-range ceiling, but I just think he's going to be. I think I can
20
see him
is the limit.
I think I can see him scoring around that 20 to, let's say, 25 at best.
Okay. I mean, look, Baltimore. It doesn't actually matter what position you play against Baltimore. They are in the bottom 10 against quarterbacks, bottom 10 against running backs, bottom 10 against wide receivers. I haven't checked tight end. Yep. I assume they are there too. But yeah, I mean, so in the last couple of weeks, Dalton has thrown over 30 times in each of these contests as well. So it's just the volume's there, right? I don't know. You're much more bold here too. That if you combined the start rate of these two quarterbacks, it's a number that is still under 30%.
Exactly. So I'll listen kind of bold.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wouldn't fuck around with the graphic for less than that. So yeah, you've earned the passage.
Well, I hope I saved myself some room here because I've got Miles Sanders as my running back, and again, it's probably one that isn't sort of like fully out there, but again, I just thought he fit this because he's so hot and cold. He's got some great games and he's got some just absolute stinkers. And I really just wanted to pick him here because I really wanted to outline that I think he's a full-on start for anyone that's a little bit worried up against Houston, who are just bleeding out the arsehole at running back. Like, they just cannot stop anything right now. And I know it's easy to say Derrick Henry, he can do it against anyone, but they are just giving it up to every running back they come up against this year. And the fact that you can be worse than the Lions speaks volumes. So
it's incredible.
Miles Sanders is just a smash play. The only thing that'll stop him is if he gets pilfered by filthy touchdowns by Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell, and then obviously Jalen Hurts can take him as well.
Yeah.
So that's
probably the biggest risk. I think is Hurts himself
from a full ceiling game, but I think he's going to have a lot of yards.
Yeah, and look, he's been this classic case too of if it's been a defense that's been in the, say, bottom 10, he gets 15 plus carries and he actually does some really good stuff with it. But then if he's playing against a defense that somehow aren't in the bottom 10, which is 2/3 of the league, right? Because there's 21 teams that aren't either him or the bottom 10. And he's just, and he doesn't get a lot of volume. So, look, yeah, I think this is an easy one. Just track where he's got a bad matchup and just press hard ahead. And when he doesn't have a great matchup, really understand that you can take it in the neck probably.
Absolutely. All right. Now my wide receiver. It's the poo-poo juice. Juju Smith-Schuster up against the Titans, 27th against the wide receiver position. I've just really liked what I've seen out of Juju recently. Obviously, there were some struggles early in the year, but he was coming to a new team. So it didn't surprise me that there were some growing pains. But I've really liked the last couple of weeks. He's had over 100 yards. He's gotten to the end zone. Yeah. And just in general, like having a guy like that who looks like he's the one for Pat Mahomes, it's hard, not to take him. So, I'm just, again, it's sort of like the theme for me this week, just looking at guys with the arrow pointing up. If they're sort of having 2 good games in a row, let's go for 3. It's NBA Jam rules, baby. Let's go. So
he's on fire.
He's on fire. Boom, shakalaka.
Whoa. Shoot. Wasn't expecting that. This is a good
So,
call. If you get the points out of him this week too, he's got the Jags next week too. So this is kind of almost
there
like
you
a
go.
double it up. Just roll him out
Absolutely.
again.
So I'm hoping he's regular juice and not poo-poo juice this week.
It can be juju instead of juice. What do you reckon? Just get the juju on.
Sounds
Man, he's
good.
getting targets too. I think we were sort of talking about this through the week too. Is that man? He doesn't often get millions of targets, but he gets pretty consistently 8-ish.
Yep.
And we're sort of saying, gee, if there's an exchange rate of Mahomes targets versus anyone else's targets, you need less Mahomes targets to be valuable than you do, I don't know, pick any other quarterback in the world. Man, if I was getting 8 targets from Mahomes, I'm probably scoring your points, for fuck's sake. So,
Absolutely.
man, this guy's only starting half leagues. Yeah, I don't know how you couldn't think this is a great call. Sign me up. Probably need to trade for this guy in a couple of leagues because, I mean, well, okay, maybe not. After these 2 games, it gets hard for Juju, so maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. But Tennessee and Jacksonville, fire him up.
That could be Kadarius Tony's time by then.
Oh, God. Imagine that. Forgotten he'd moved.
All right. So, tight end. I'm going to go with your boys at Wankers with Gerald Everett up against Atlanta because we just know Atlanta takes it up the rectum in any position this year. And 29th against tight end probably is their best position against. I think 29th is the fact they're actually beating 3 teams actually is amazing in any position. So, but Gerald Everett, to me, it's not just the matchup. It's the fact that everyone around him seems to just be getting hurt. Like he's going to be so necessary for this team moving forward. You know, obviously there's the issues of Keenan Allen. We don't know if he's back. Mike Williams is definitely out for a while. You know, we don't even know if Joshua Palmer's back because he had the concussion.
Yeah.
So it would be like basically him and DeAndre Carter for targets. And even if it's, you know, Palmer and Carter, like I think if anything, he would be the most trusted out of those 3. So I just think he's going to be very, very needed for this offense moving forward. And, you know, it could just be a lot of dump offs to Eckler and then obviously intermediate routes with Everett. I just think he's going to be a target sponge, I think, mate.
Target sponge. Oh, I like that.
Yep.
Bring in the lingo.
Yep.
What the
that'll
kids are
be
saying on the street these days.
I've talked about green arrows pointing up and things like that, mate. Target sponge might be my other thing of the week.
Target sponge, all right. No, look, I mean, clearly I need Everett to play well, but he's kind of just about to go into land of milk and honey with matchups too. Like, I think he's got one matchup coming up where he plays the 49ers, and then everything else is just all teams who are arse against the middle of the field whose linebackers stink. So this might not be a 1 week start. This might be if you're just kind of finding a way at tight end, maybe you can convince somebody who owns Everett to just send him your way. If you're getting the targets, he's only had 1 week with less than 6 targets.
Yep.
Not bad.
Very startable. Very startable.
Yeah, shit. All right. And what's he getting started? 36% of leagues. 32% of leagues. Jesus, that's not many. All right.
I got to do this to myself now, Matty. I got to put myself out there again.
Here we go.
And who better to take out than the consensus 101 pick of this year in the NFL fantasy draft, Mr. Jonathan Taylor, up against the Pats, who have moved up to 2nd against running backs.
Yeah.
He tweaked his ankle last week, so may come into this game not 100%, but he hasn't looked himself all year. Sitting at running back 33 and gets a terrible matchup as mentioned. Since week 2, he has averaged 7.56 fantasy points per game in half PPR. They have now turned to a new quarterback, making his second start after benching the undie shitter himself, Matthew Ryan. I see red flags galore for this matchup for Johnny T.
This guy's already running back 33 on the year.
And he really hasn't missed that much time. Like, I know he had that one game where it was like Deion Jackson coming in for him, but he actually hasn't really missed that much time.
No, he missed 2 games. He missed Denver and Jacksonville back to back, and that was it. But, I mean, he's been getting the carries. He had only 10 against Tennessee, but other than that, he's had the carries. But his yards per carry suck. And he's had 1 touchdown.
The touchdowns are the big thing. Was it last year 20 or something like that? He just went hamburger last year.
He and James Conner had all the touchdowns, and you could have owned them both on the same team. You would have been unfucking stoppable.
Yeah.
This year, if you own both of them, you'd be winless. Like it's
Yeah, probably.
fuck. I mean,
Yep.
the one thing he's got going for him is he's had a bunch of games with more than 5 targets, which is not his thing. But not lately. Like, wow, yeah, it's a
Hines
mess.
being traded may open up something in the passing game for him, but
Just probably means
again, with
Deion Jackson comes in and looks better than this guy.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, fuck.
I don't know. Yeah, it's tough. And again, like the tweaking of the ankle just doesn't bode well. But he didn't look great anyway. I don't even think it's so much just about him. I just think the team in general just looks like ass. I just think there's so many red flags for him in this game specifically.
I mean, the problem is if you own him, you have to start him.
You have to play.
right?
You have to play him, and that's why he's the perfect person for me to target on this segment. I think everyone's going to play him, but I just think you're gonna be clenching your ass cheeks.
94% started. Who owns him and isn't starting? What is your lineup?
Nah, I know. And again, it's one of those things that I don't think I could bench him either. I just think it's too hard, but because of the draft capital and everything. But yeah, it's gonna be a tough watch against this Pats D because they're just giving up no points to their own position. Actually, sorry, they give up late touchdowns to David Montgomery. That's all they do.
Yeah. And, we are a Montgomery positive podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Wow. I mean, you've got some really, Randy Marsh carrying his balls around a wheelbarrow calls here with the two quarterbacks who combined don't even hit a 30% start rate, and only the number one overall consensus in every format of fantasy start. Jonathan Taylor is your AIDS candidate. Oh my god. I was not expecting this when I got out of bed this morning, mate. I can tell you, I'm rattled. I'm shook. I think that's what the kids are saying these days. I wouldn't know because I'm 40, but shook, I think they say. I'm shook.
Yeah, I'm 33 going on 64, mate. So I don't know either.
Fuck. But kudos to you, brother.
We'll see what happens.
I can't wish you a bad week. I really can't, which would be my usual speed just to poke holes in everything you do. But I mean, this is fucking ballsy.
It's turned around this segment. I nailed it for like the first 5 weeks. And then the weirdest part is I feel like I've nailed these last 3 weeks too. And I just cannot get it right in terms of trying to stop someone from getting a touchdown. So everyone expect Johnny T to go 20 for 42 and a touchdown this week.
Yeah, right. He's going to have the shittest yards per carry, but he'll find pay dirt. Yeah, fucking oath he will, motherfucker.
Lock him in.
Or even just like your wide receiver last week, or it's like, okay, so the guy on the other side of the field gets the 3 touchdowns and 7 trillion yards, and Devonta Smith gets 4 for 23. And you're like, this is total bullshit. Man, how hard do I have to work to make the right analysis and then just not see it come up? So, mate, if this comes up, big payday, mate. Fuck, I don't know. We're gonna have to, dedicate a shrine to you or something like that for calling out the number 1 overall pick. And if he turns up with no touchdown and shite yards per carry, like we're suggesting, even give him volume, whatever. We're just saying, fuck, limit your expectations for this guy.
Yeah, and Adam has him in Astro League, so it'd be great for him to go shit.
And I haven't checked since waivers ran, but we had some wholesale changes for our lineup because we were just covering some bye weeks last week, and now that's over. But we were ahead of Adam on projection. I don't know what he's done with his lineup. I hadn't checked the matchup yet, but we're ahead. So we're doing the right thing by you, mate.
Stop the clock. Just that's it.
That's it. Don't even play the games, mate. Just it's on paper. You only have to do it on paper.
Let's go, wankers. Let's go.
I mean, we could use a win. We're 1-6. Manjot, I fired him earlier in the year. I'm pretty sure I'm about to fire myself, and I'm going to get my children to run this team.
Everyone at home.
Do the anti-scuba. He blamed his kid. This year, I'm just blaming the adults, and I'm going to put the kids in charge. I'm going to do the anti-scuba.
Everyone out there, just think wanker thoughts. Just everyone out there, do some good wanking out there.
And I mean, I'm going to need it because between Manjot and I, we've only got 3 arms. So we could use all the help we can get.
Absolutely.
And on that note, good luck in week 9, mate.
Thank you, mate. Definitely to you too. I've never met that more.
Oh, thank you, mate. I appreciate it. It's the one time I know you're actually going to be cheering for me. I really feel the love.
It's coming.
Well, all right, mate. Adios.
And that's what a wanker would also say.
That's exactly what a wanker would say.
Adios.
All right, mate. Vamonos.
Prosecution calls their first witness.
Do not panic just yet. Even I am guilty of panicking.
I mean, what, are you going to detain the guy for just having a couple of bad days? I don't want people to follow me around at work and detain me whenever I have a bad day.
20 bloody 8th, Your Honour. Sorry for the cursing in your old courtroom, sorry.
I will allow it.